Imagine standing in the heart of a Roman military camp, iron clanking, orders shouted in Latin, and a smoky aroma drifting from the open fires. But it's not just the smell of war, it's the smell of food. Hidden behind their conquests and discipline lies a secret few ever talk about: the elite diet of Rome's most feared warriors. This isn't your average ancient grain tale. You're about to uncover the secret menu of the Roman legions, the real fuel behind the empire's domination. Forget the stale image of soldiers gnawing on dry bread. The Roman legions had a dietary blueprint that would make modern fitness gurus jealous. Their meals weren't just about sustenance. They were about strategy, strength, and survival. What went into their stomachs often determined the outcomes of their battles. The foundation of every Roman warrior's diet was puls, a simple porridge made from barley or spelt. But don't be fooled by its simplicity. Puls was nutrient-dense, high in complex carbs, and easy to prepare in the field. This dish was the Roman version of a protein bowl. Cheap, fast, and customizable, legionaries added wild herbs, dried fruits, and even meat bits to enhance flavor and performance. In cold provinces like Britannia or Germania, they spiced it up with garlic and vinegar, creating a dish that doubled as fuel and medicine. But there was more to the Roman diet than porridge. This secret menu was highly regional. Soldiers posted in Egypt had access to dates, honey, and even roasted pigeons. In Gaul, they dined on hearty stews with local root vegetables and wild boar. Protein was sacred. While full meat rations were rare, they often supplemented their diet with legumes, particularly lentils and chickpeas. Mixed with olive oil and vinegar, they formed a dish that could last days without spoiling, perfect for long marches. And yes, meat was on the table, but it was special. Salted pork, known as petaso, was the go-to. It was preserved, portable, and packed with fat, ideal for energy during long campaigns. When celebrating a major victory, soldiers sometimes received a rare delicacy: grilled dormice, spiced with honey and herbs. This dish was more than food. It was a reward, a symbol of Roman extravagance in the face of brutal conquest. Hydration was critical. Roman warriors didn't just drink water, they drank posca, a mix of water, vinegar, and herbs. Posca was a tart, refreshing tonic that killed bacteria and boosted stamina. It was the Gatorade of its time, and believe it or not, wine played a part. Watered down and strictly rationed, vinum was a morale booster. But it wasn't about luxury. Romans believed wine could purify water and even sharpen the mind before battle. Their breakfast of champions. Often bread dipped in olive oil, sometimes with crushed figs or nuts. Not glamorous, but effective. The slow-burn calories from this meal carried them through hours of intense training and drills. Speaking of training, Roman soldiers burned thousands of calories per day. Their meals had to match that output. It wasn't uncommon for a single meal to clock over 2,000 calories, stacked with grains, beans, and fat. But the most interesting part? Discipline extended to the dining table. Soldiers couldn't gorge. Meals were consumed quickly, often standing up, with strict rationing by rank. The centurion ate differently than the common legionary. Foraging was essential. Roman scouts often returned with mushrooms, berries, and edible greens. The secret menu wasn't just about what they brought from Rome, but what they harvested on the road to war. Honey was the Roman sweetener of choice, used not just for desserts, but also as a glaze on meats and in medicinal pastes. When mixed with vinegar, honey was even applied to wounds, because the battlefield was both kitchen and clinic. Cheese was another staple. Hard, aged cheeses like pecorino were durable and high in protein. These were carried in satchels alongside dried figs, a compact powerhouse of nutrients. One lesser-known item, garum. This fermented fish sauce was the Roman answer to soy sauce. Packed with umami and salt, just a few drops transformed any dull meal into something special. The elite warriors, the Praetorian Guard, often had access to the best. Imported olives, spiced wine, roasted lamb with exotic seasonings. These weren't just meals, they were status symbols, worn with pride on their plates. Some military camps even had designated bakers and butchers, preparing ration meals en masse. The food supply chain was militarized, ensuring troops were fed no matter how far they marched from Rome. Even religious rituals involved food. Before battle, some soldiers fasted, Others shared symbolic loaves of bread. A sacred connection was drawn between body, spirit, and sacrifice. The most curious practice? Soldiers sometimes ate before battle and fasted after. Victory tasted sweeter on an empty stomach, they believed. It made the first post-battle bite feel like a gift from the gods. When supply lines broke down, the menu turned survivalist. Acorns, wild grass, roasted lizards. The Roman warrior could adapt. Hunger didn't scare them, it sharpened them. But even in the harshest conditions, the principles held: balance, utility, and endurance. Their meals weren't luxurious, they were engineered. Engineered to march, to fight, and to win. In the end, the Roman menu wasn't about indulgence, it was about domination. Every bite, every sip, was calculated, not for comfort, but for conquest. The next time you think about ancient warriors, don't just picture swords and shields. Picture a soldier huddled by firelight, spooning hot pulse, drinking sharp posca, and preparing to conquer a continent, on a stomach full of strategy. This was the secret menu of the Roman warriors, not carved in stone, but remembered in victory. A diet forged for discipline, a cuisine of conquest. And now, you know what fueled the empire.